Hi all, welcome back. This is Param. In this episode, we will see what are the components are to be installed to create the Kubernetes cluster. Okay, and apart from the setups, we will see a set of command line tools. What are the command line tools are available to interact with the Kubernetes cluster? What is a command? Other stuff. Okay. Let us see command line first. Okay, kubectl is one of the command line. Okay, so through which we can do any operation within the clusters. Okay, we can deploy the applications, we can manage and monitor the clusters, we can view the logs, auto completions. That is kind of easy way of typing. That is okay. And then kind minikube admin as administration purpose command line tools. Okay, I have used minikube is a single node clusters. Okay, so for the development purpose or to testing purpose or to demo something, okay, a single node cluster is enough. We don't need multi-node cluster, right? Okay, usually production cluster will be multi-node cluster, development cluster single node cluster. So using the minikube we can provide a single node cluster. Okay. So that's all about the command line tools. Okay. Then in the node of Elasticsearch, node of Kubernetes clusters, we call as two groups. One is control plane, another one is worker node. Okay. Let's see the worker node. Worker node where actual pod is running. Our application going to run only in the worker node, not control plane. Okay, so the worker node is kind of it can be a virtual machine or it can be a physical machines. Okay, it can be anything. Okay, so that is what usually Linux. Worker node can be Linux OS or Windows OS. In fact, within the single cluster, we can have mixer of Windows and Linux operating systems for the nodes. Okay. The worker node has three components. It has to be kubelet has to be installed. Okay, kubelet is kind of agent for the Kubernetes control plane. In fact, okay, kubelet proxy, it is for communicating networking. Okay, so whenever a pod from one node to another node, if a pod want to communicate a pod or service, okay, anything, so the communication from one runtime object to another object within the Kubernetes clusters, okay, kube proxy will come into play. Okay, service, so that is fine. Then container runtimes usually mostly Docker, but containerd some other can be there. Okay, so in the worker node we want to have three installations. I mean three component has to be installed. Then only it can run as a worker node. One is kubelet, kind of agent for Kubernetes. Kube proxy, it is used for the communications. Okay. Third one is container runtimes. Okay, usually Docker. That's all about the worker node. Then let's go to the control plane node. Okay, in the control plane node we will have kube API server will be there. It is kind of front end. Okay, front end receiving all the commands for whatever we are running in the Kubernetes kubectl or any web UI, something like that. Okay, then etcd, it is storage. Okay, it is a storage. Storage in the Kubernetes cluster. It's kind of key value store only. Okay, but all the information are stored within the etcd. Okay, then within the kube API server, yes, kube API server horizontal scalings. Okay, I will tell you that what is meaning. UI dashboard, it is another way of interacting with the Kubernetes cluster. Okay, API of Kubernetes. Okay, so this is what we can programmatically interact with Kubernetes. Okay, so we can interact with programmatically. Okay, using web UI. Okay, or kubectl command line. Okay, then CLI. So these are the different way to interact with the kube API server. Okay. Usually control plane. In protection clusters, for development we will have single node cluster, that is more enough, but for the production clusters, okay, we will have lot of minimum we will have minimum 3 master node, at least similarly 3 to 5 worker node. Okay, etcd is another etcd storage for the Kubernetes. Kube scheduler is what it is the going to run once we give the task to API server, or once we post the manifest file to the API server. Okay, it will be one or two pod should be scheduled, right? Okay, the pod has to be created exactly. Okay, so creation of pod is called scheduling here. Okay, creation of pod on a node is called kube schedulers. Okay, so it has its own terms and conditions, like resource should be this much, resource should be this much, and other stuff. Okay, networking, everything it will check based on the set of criteria. It will decide which pod should be deployed or created in which node, which worker node, in fact. Exactly. Okay, that is for scheduler. Kube controller manager. Okay, I'll tell you that. So okay, in the Kubernetes, all of the task, actual labor, we will say, like, okay, in the Kubernetes, all of the task is done by the controller. For let it be anything, service, let it be a namespace, let it be a pod, okay, everything. For everything there is a controller is there. So controller is actual implementation, in fact. Okay, so say for example, node controller, job controller, endpoint slice controller, service account controller. Similarly, there are a lot of controllers are there. Okay, all of those controllers managed by the kube controller manager. Okay, then cloud controller manager. Okay, again node controller, route controller, service controller. Okay, what is cloud node controller? Cloud controller. Okay, if our Kubernetes cluster in in on premise or private cloud, that times kube controller manager is enough. Okay, but if you are going to run if you are going to run or Kubernetes cluster in any of the public cloud like Google Cloud, AWS or Azure, okay, that time cloud controller manager will come into play. Okay, it will do its couple of tasks. Then kubeadmin is kind of CLI tool. Okay, it is for administration of Kubernetes cluster, administration of Kubernetes clusters. Okay, so these are the components are there inside of control plane node or master node. Usually control plane will have very simple machines enough for a control plane, but for worker node we need very big machines. Okay, or big node, big configuration machines. Okay, so that's how Kubernetes cluster will be created. Client library, yes, it will run. So no, it is easy to interact with programmatically. Okay, let's say if you are writing some visualization tool or some UI tool, UI product, something like that. Okay, from there if you want to connect to the back end of Kubernetes cluster, that times client library is enough. Okay, it's one of the way, in fact. Okay, it is one of the way to interact with the Kubernetes cluster. Okay, done. Add-ons. What do you mean by add-ons? Okay, as I said, Kubernetes is a plugin architecture. Okay, so anyone can extend its capability and functionality, right? So that is what add-ons here. Okay, say a couple of add-ons here: DNS name, DNS web, DNS. You know, right? It is a service registry and discovery. I'll tell you what is the service discovery and registry in later. Okay, web UI, then container resource monitoring. Okay, then cluster level logging, network plugins. Okay, all these are some of the extension or plugins or add-ons that can be installed in the Kubernetes cluster to extend its functionality, to extend its core functionality. Okay, these are some of the add-ons here. Okay, then cluster management tool. What is that? kubeadmin, Corps, and kubespray. Okay, kubespray. Yes, these are a couple of tools to manage the Kubernetes cluster. Okay, then configuration files. Let's say we had couple of Kubernetes clusters. Okay, one day at a time while working with the kubectl command line tools. Okay, it has to be decided which cluster has to send all of the queries or commands, something like that. Okay, so using the kubectls, we are using the kubectls, we will send the command to the API server, right? Okay, so which we may have more than one cluster, Kubernetes cluster, right? Among them, which one of the cluster it has to send the commands? Okay, that is decided by the configuration files. Okay, in our local machines, I mean client machine, I would say, Kubernetes cluster running somewhere, and we are going to connect with that Kubernetes cluster from our local machine. Okay, so in that case, this kube config file will be in the client side. So there it will have a lot of the low level information. So okay, that will be sent to the Kubernetes cluster on every commands of from the Kubernetes. So sorry, kubectl, from the kubectl. Authentication authorizations, it's again within the Kubernetes how we are going to authenticate and what are the roles we are going to have. Okay, say for example, you have one user, okay, that user should have access to only one particular namespace object, not other than. Okay, let's say for a single cluster, Kubernetes cluster, we can create a few number of namespace. Each namespace is given to the particular customers. Okay, so anyone from the particular customer, he or she should allowed to run only allowed to access only its own namespace or object, not other than. So in that case, all the authorization comes into the play. Okay, so these are the components. Okay, and worker node, control plane node. Okay, these are the components are there to set up Kubernetes cluster. Thanks for watching.